Hello, Henry. First of all, very commendable thing that you are playing at the Masters at this young age. So, could you please tell us when did you start playing chess?
Well, I started to play chess about 2 years ago. So, yeah, and then I studied by myself, and then I went to a club, and then I managed to reach at this level.
You started just 2 years ago. How did it start?
Well, my dad teach me chess, and he was like showing me, and I got interest because of that, and I decided to start on my own.
Oh, that's excellent. So, your dad knows how to play chess?
Yes.
So, now do you beat him in chess?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, how was that journey? Like, you were like many kids don't choose chess, they like to play football or maybe other sports.
Yeah. I was at first I was playing football, and then after I discovered chess, I kind of retired from football to play chess.
You retired
Yeah.
from football?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your current age?
Yeah, 12.
12. At 12, 2 years ago, means at 10 you retired
Yeah.
from football to come
Yeah.
to chess. Excellent. So, when did you started chess and you started, definitely saw some videos or games of some players.
Yeah,
Who was your first role model?
I think it was Fun Master Mike from Chess Kid, and also some kids from Chess Kid who were playing at some speed chess championship or something. And they gave me more motivation to play because I saw that there were also young children like me playing. So that's why I decided to continue my journey towards becoming a greater chess player.
Okay. What is your current rating?
2314.
2340. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what is your ultimate aim with chess?
To become world champion.
To become a world champion.
Yeah.
So you have been following World Cup, right? You see
Yeah.
that how difficult it is, that top players are getting eliminated and all. So what is your strategy to go to reach the world championship?
First, become a GM, then 2600, 2700, maybe qualify for the candidates, and then to the world championship.
Excellent, excellent. So who are you training with currently, or are you all self-taught?
Right now I'm training by myself.
Okay.
But I was before I was training with Tipter Napoleon, to which I thank.
Okay.
And yeah, and now I'm studying on my own. So yeah, in Romania now there has been some training sessions by Coach Ramesh, like 1 week, and I really feel like they're helping me, and I've learned a lot of new principles that I've not learned until now, and I feel like these principles have helped me in most of my games. So yeah, that's why I feel like it's pretty good.
Okay. Is there any particular lesson that you remember, or a particular thing that he mentioned that you remember?
Okay, he also gave us at mostly in the first camp he gave us like mostly endgames, which I really liked, and because it's still, even though it's not that maybe pleasant, maybe it's boring, even though yeah, you don't want to make it boring, but it just simply is at some point. Even though that was slightly boring, I feel like it helps me because now if I like maybe enter in a rook endgame or something, then I feel like I'm very prepared.
Excellent. So is this the biggest tournament that you are playing, or you have played the bigger tournaments?
It's one of the biggest tournaments. I think it's very good because of the rating range. It's not that large. I mean, only over 2300 can come. So that's why, I think I've seen one almost as strong as this, but I think this is the strongest.
Okay.
Because at that tournament, there's a rating range of less than 2300. So there's also like 1700, 2000, 1900.
Okay. Okay. And what is your expectation from this tournament? What do you want to take from this tournament apart from rating?
Well, my expectation is an IM norm.
Oh,
most
okay.
likely.
Do you have any norms yet?
Yeah, one.
One. Okay. Where did you get it?
In Budapest.
In Budapest. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
At a closed tournament.
Oh, nice. Nice. So you are looking for your second IM now.
Yes.
Okay. So which is the next big tournament that you are playing after this?
I don't think. I think I'm playing at the European Chess Championships after this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not sure yet. I've not looked at any tournaments in September. But probably I'm going to play one more tournament and then go to the World Championships in Egypt.
Okay. Okay. So I like in Romania there are also some strong tournaments happening.
Yes, there are some Grand Prix, but the only problem is that they don't happen every month. Because if that was going to happen, then I would have been very happy to just stay in Romania, you know, and play these strong tournaments. But the problem is they don't happen every month, so I've got to go and play some other tournaments outside because there just simply isn't. And also now there was some rapid tournaments, but also some classical tournament. So yes, there are, but not every month, like once in 3 months, which is not that great, but still there are.
Can you please tell us the process? How do you study on your own? What do you do like after a game?
Well, after a game, I mean, it's very late, so I probably just eat and then go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But, and also I like study from books.
Okay.
Mostly.
Any favorite books?
Right now, I'm studying mostly on Endgames, Dvoretzky's Endgame manual, and also understanding rook endgames.
Okay. Okay. So so you refer to the books, and after that, what do you do? Do you see the games of the players?
Yeah, I mean, I look at. So before looking at the next move, I try to find it on my own and then look at the move.
Oh, okay. Okay. So do you also play online a lot?
Not much, not very much.
No blitz, no bullet.
No bullet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why? Why is that?
Because I've not. I mean, I don't think it helps my thought process that much, because it's counter. It feels counterintuitive but it doesn't help if you enter in time trouble, for example, because at bullet you don't really think, it's only intuition. But at classical you need to also have some thought process behind it. So that's why.
You have a nice look. You look like a player who was at the World Championship helping Ding Liren. Do you know who he is?
Rapport, yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel that you have a style like Rapport?
Not really, no.
Okay. So tell us about your style, your hairstyle. Like why do you keep long hair?
Well, I really liked it because it feels like it gives me energy.
Okay.
And also it feels like I feel like my hair is like my energy.
Okay.
So it feels, I mean, now it doesn't feel right to cut it anymore.
But excellent. Yeah. Okay. So now that we have known you and understand you, let's go into a game that you played with Aditya Garg in the tournament which you have won. So why don't you show us the game?
I started with d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, cd5, ed5. This is all mainline theory. It's not that much of a surprise. But okay, I was mostly expecting c6 instead of e6. But also this is also, he has also played this in the past. So bishop g5, bishop e7, e3, c6, queen c2, h6, bishop h4, castles, bishop d3, rook e8, knight g2, and now a5. I was mostly expecting like knight b d7, and then maybe something like knight f8, e6, and b5, a5, but not to put a5, knight a6, knight c7. I was mostly expecting the knight to go like maybe the b6 or f8, e6. Okay, a5, castles, knight a6. This is all still theory. a3, knight c7. Now I was thinking a lot because I was trying to recall what was my preparation, and probably, I mean, I really like this plan with f3, e4, but if I play f3 now, there's also this interesting move c5, where I thought that it wasn't very pleasant, because, for example, if I play dc5, bishop c5, and then my e3 pawn is weak and it will fall. So then maybe something like if I play something like, let's say, bishop f2, then he has c4, bishop f5, and b5, and his attack on the queen side gets pretty annoying, because now he has a pawn on c4, which also is helping a lot. For example, when the pawn was on c6, it wasn't that dangerous compared to now. So that's why I didn't like this. So that's why I played first king h1 to prepare f3 and prevent c5. So okay, b5, f3, and now I feel like this was a pretty not a strange move, bishop b7, because I was most expecting like bishop a6, because anyways the pawn on c5 isn't needed to be defended, and also I thought that he might want to play b4, but with bishop on b7 it's slightly more passive. Okay, I played bishop f2. Now still trying to prepare e4, but I can't do it at the moment, because if I played e4, then he has d4, d4, and knight g4 is slightly not pleasant, because if bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, queen d2, maybe he has something like queen g5, and the e3 square is very weak, and my central pawn can be attacked easily. So instead, he played. So instead of f3, e4, I played bishop f2. Now he played b4, because otherwise, I mean, he can't really do anything more productive than this, because that's his whole idea. So ab, and now knight a4. Now he played. Oh, he played b4 after. Played first knight e6. Now rook a d1. Because I want to play e4 maybe, and if takes, then I want some d5 ideas. So he needs to act fast. So b4, a4, knight a4, and now queen a5. Now the idea is maybe he wants c5, and also it's with tempo, so I've got to do something. I only have two main moves, either b3 or rook a1. Rook a1 is just a waste of tempo, because I just played rook a d1, so why play rook a1? So that's why I played d3, c5, dc, knight c5, knight c5, and now bishop c5. And now here is very interesting position, because I have an isolated pawn, semi-isolated, because I can play 4, but he has an isolated pawn, so it's pretty good compensation. But also I have b3, weak b3 pawn, which is not that comfortable. So here I have either queen d2 or knight d4. Well, if queen d2, then there's this interesting queen a2 move, and it's not that comfortable, because after bishop c2, rook a c8, rook e c8, and now there is various threats with bishop a3, and still the e3 pawn is weak, and I'm slightly passive, so that's why it's not that comfortable. So that's why I think it's better to play knight d4, because now I was mainly calculating bishop d4, e d4, rook e c8, because he wants rook c3, and something like queen e2 or queen d2, rook c3, rook b1, queen a3, and now I think bishop e1 or rook fc1 first, and if rook b3, queen b3, then I have rook b1, and if queen c3, then takes, and I take. on b7. So he can't play that. And if he doesn't play that, let's say queen a2, then I can just take, and I can play either bishop e1 or even take on b4. Maybe bishop e1 is better. And now it's an equal endgame, but still, I have the bishop pair, so there's still winning chances. It's not that clear. So that's why instead of this, okay, it kind of transposed almost how I played in the game. Played first rook e8. Now I have either queen d2 or queen e2. And now the main thing is that if queen d2, he has queen a2, which is pretty annoying because bishop c2, bishop d4, and I lose a piece. So also knight c2, but now after rook b1, queen a2, I can't really take on b4, and I think the best I can do is just a draw with rook a1. Let's say queen b3 or queen b2, rook b1, queen a2, rook a1. But I didn't want to draw, so that's why I decided to play queen e2, and to meet queen a2 with rook d2. So that's why I felt it was pretty strange to play queen a2, because now it just helps me play rook d2. Okay, queen b2. And now he's threatening bishop d4, e d4, and queen b3. So I have to do something about this. So either I can play rook b1 or rook b2. Now, okay, there's also the third option, which is knight d5. This just goes, enters a draw after bishop, queen b3, bishop c2, queen c4, bishop queen b3, bishop c2. And if queen b2 or queen a2, then there's bishop h7 check, and you win the queen. So obviously, yeah, it's more a cowardly decision to play knight d5. So more likely, either rook b2 or rook b1. And okay, if bishop c2, then there's this annoying thing, or bishop d4 or bishop a6. So now I played queen e2 because I thought like, okay, either queen d2 or queen e2. But I decided to play queen e2, so to have like, if bishop d4, e d4, rook c3, maybe I have bishop e1, and rook b3, then bishop c2. And he can't play rook b2 because of bishop h7. And if rook a3, then I have rook b1. Okay, rook b1, or maybe just queen e7. Queen e7 is stronger. And now he can't play bishop a6 because of bishop b4, forking the queen and rook. So maybe he has to play queen b6, and then probably more likely this endgame will happen, which I have a slight edge. So instead of bishop d4, he played, so instead of bishop d4, he played queen a2, which I thought it was pretty surprising, because now that's why also another idea of queen e2, to meet queen a2 with rook d2. And now I just felt like I just won a tempo. But okay, at the same time he also felt like instead of playing queen a3 directly, he wanted to maybe somehow make my pieces more awkward, but I felt like this was better. This position was better than this one. Okay, so queen a2, rook d2, queen a3. Now either rook b2 or rook b1. Maybe rook b1 is bad. Not bad, but not that good because of bishop d4, e d4, rook c1. Rook takes c1, queen takes c1. And I felt like it was not necessary to exchange that many pieces. So I decided to keep the rooks on the board with rook b2. And okay, now he took, I took, and now bishop a6, which is okay, I think is a very good decision, because also if I have bishop pair, then I can start maybe attacking this pawn, and maybe create an attack on the king side, since he doesn't have that many pieces on the king side. And also this bishop on b7 was very passive, so I think it's a pretty good decision to play bishop a6. And now rook a2 I cannot play because of bishop d3, rook a3, bishop e2, rook 8, and after rook 8 is just a piece up. So instead I played, after bishop a2, bishop a6, I played rook fb1, bishop a6. I also could have played rook fb1, but I didn't really like to give rook c3 of tempo, and I decided that's okay, maybe let's play bishop a6, and okay, rook a6, because if queen a6, then I can just take, and now bishop e1, rook b6, and now I can gain the open file with rook a1 or rook a2. And here I have I definitely have an edge, because maybe rook a4 is coming, maybe rook a2 is better, because for example now rook a4, there's no more rook c1. As in this variation, rook a4, rook c1, he has counterplay. And also now he has a very weak pawn, and he can't attack very easily with the knight, these weak pawns. So it's pretty, I think it's better for white. So instead, he didn't take with the queen, he took with the rook. And after takes, now I played rook fb1. And my whole idea is that, okay, he has some initiative, but in the long term, maybe I can exchange queens. And if I exchange queens, I'm happy because he has a weak b4 pawn. So I guess it's not that bad for me. And okay, now he has either rook c3, rook e6, rook c6. He has many options. But okay, rook. So now queen a5 was a pretty interesting move, but I'm not sure. It feels like it wastes a tempo. Now I can get more active, because now I can gain the open file with rook c2. So for example, there is also another line, rook c6, and now either I was thinking, okay, rook c6 is bad. Rook a2 is bad because rook c1, bishop e1, rook b1, rook a3, and ba3. And I'm not trapping his queen, and he gets enough material for it. So to prepare rook a2, then maybe bishop a1 first, and now queen a5 probably again is forced. So rook a2 maybe, or queen e7. Okay, queen e7, maybe rook c1 is coming. So that's why maybe if bishop e1, then rook c1. So instead queen d2. Okay, now I'm not really threatening anything, but he can't really do anything also. For example, one sample line could go rook c3, bishop e1, and now I'm threatening rook a2 because there's no more check on c1. So queen a5, because of queen a6, queen f2, and I win the pawn on b4. So okay, queen a5. Now maybe it's something like rook a2, queen b5, and now either queen f2 or rook a4 or queen b2. And I feel like this is still slightly better for white because of the weak b4 pawn. But okay, and he played instead of rook c6, he played queen a5. And now mainly my options are queen d2, bishop e1, but rook c2 I think is the most critical decision, because now he cannot take, because after queen c2 I get the open file, and now this b4 pawn will be weak, will become even more weak after bishop e1, queen d2, or queen c5. And okay, he has to play either rook e6. Rook e6 is bad because rook c8, move check. So he has to play rook e8 or rook ac6. But after rook ac6, I can play this very good move, rook c5, I think. Now if rook c5, dc5, knight to 7. I guess it's pretty bad for him because rook c1, knight c5, queen c2. So instead, he's got to play probably rook e8. Now, I felt like now it was even more better because he didn't have the open c file anymore. So here after rook e8 I played queen d3 because if queen d2 there's rook e6 and now rook e2 will come with tempo. So that's why I didn't want to allow this. So that's why queen d3 was played, and now he played rook e6, and now I felt like okay, so rook was on c2. I feel like now it was a good time to play g3 because now he doesn't really have any threats. So maybe why not just improve the position of my king? Because let's say if I play something like queen or rook c1, let's say, maybe at some point he'll play knight h5, knight f4. So to prevent this, I want to play g3, g6, king g2, and now I just want to like play rook c1, rook c5, and now he's not threatening anymore my king like with rook e2 or something. So maybe a plan would go rook b2 to prepare rook c5 and not allow rook e2 because of rook e2. So that's why I guess I feel like I have a definite advantage here. And here I made a mistake by playing queen d8. I think it was better to play knight h5 first, and now maybe okay rook c5 or rook b2, then queen d8 works now. Queen d2, maybe he has queen g5 counterplay. But okay, this endgame still is not that pleasant because he still has a weakness. So if I play like king f1, then I can have rook c2, bishop e1. And it's still, I think this endgame is still slightly better for me, or even more better because now his knight is awkward and I can attack this pawn, maybe with bishop e1 in the future. And also maybe rook c5, rook b5 instead of king f1, so maybe rook c5 first. And I think this endgame definitely should be even maybe winning. Actually it's winning because I'm gonna win the b4 pawn, whatever he plays. Let's say knight f6, rook b5, and he can defend the pawn. So instead, it was already very unpleasant for him, this position. But he made a big mistake. Instead, he played queen d8, which just blunders a pawn after queen d2. And now he cannot defend the b4 pawn or the h6 pawn. Maybe a better plan was to play, instead of queen d8, queen b6. Now, let's say I just wait. Queen d6, king g2, and now, okay, queen f8 and queen d2. Now, I mean, both pawns are defended, let's say. So maybe that's a way to go. Maybe it start an attack with h5, because my king side isn't that stable. So if he can start the king side attack, maybe the best way might be g5, g4, because my f3 pawn is the weakest. So that's his only counterplay. So I think the best move here is g5 instead of queen d8. Now, maybe a good way to continue is probably h3 to prevent that. Because if I play g4, then maybe a plan would be knight h7, knight f8, knight g6, and I have this weak f4 square, and also h4, which isn't that great. So that's why g5 was the best counterplay. But okay, queen d8, I guess it's not that good because of queen d2. And now he has to give one pawn. He decided to defend this pawn, queen e7, because if I get a passed pawn, he doesn't really have any much. It's already losing. So he has to play queen e7, queen h6, and now he played rook e2, which I felt it was strange, but okay, I can play either rook takes e2 or rook b2, and in the game, I think here the best move I was thinking, okay, after rook e2, I'm going to play rook b2, and either he has to take, and now there's no more counterplay, or rook e6. And now it doesn't feel like I don't have really much going on. Maybe queen c1, queen d1, rook e2 at some point, like this, because I want to exchange almost everything to enter an endgame where I can play like bishop versus knight, and then I can play bishop e1 to attack this pawn. Because if I exchange all the pieces, this endgame is better for me because I'm a pawn up, and also this pawn is very weak. And if he cannot get his knight here, or here, or here in time to attack either this pawn, or defend this pawn like this, then he's already losing because he's going to lose this pawn. But okay, I think rook b2 was better. Rook b1 to b2. But instead I took, and I think this wasn't good because I think this was the trap he set. Because after rook e1, queen c2, takes, queen e3, and now after knight g7, I already feel like this position he has enough counterplay. Even though I'm a pawn up, I need to be worrying about knight f5 ideas. And already if he plays knight f5, it's not that good because then he's attacking this pawn, and I can't defend everything. Because let's say queen e1, he has knight d4, but also he has queen b3. So instead, to prevent knight f5, I play g4. And now I feel like after knight e6, the position is already probably equal. He also offered the draw here, but obviously I don't want a draw with being a pawn up. So I decide to fight on. Here a big threat is g5. After which knight f4, knight d3, he has a lot of counterplay. Okay, maybe not knight d3 immediately, but getting the knight to f4, or maybe just simply having this g5 pawn to restrict my pieces isn't that comfortable. So that's why I guess h4 was pretty the only move. Now I think he can even exchange queens, like with queen c3. Queen c3 I think was a very good move, because if queen c3, bc3, king f1, c2, I might even lose after knight d4. It's pretty objectively, I think it's still a draw, but why complicate? I mean, I'm playing for a win, so why enter this? But queen c3, I can either play queen e5 and just give up the b3 pawn to get activity, because this was my main aim, to give up this pawn and now just get some activity on the king side with maybe h5 or bishop e3. But at the same time I can also play king f1 after queen c3, and if he takes, okay, I think this is maybe still a draw, because knight d, king e2, knight c6, king d3, I'm not sure if I can really progress. Maybe with h5 something at some point. And if I can manage to get like bishop d2, king e3, king f4, maybe like that, and just create the outside pass pawn with h5. But still, I think it's objectively a draw. Well, okay. Instead, he played, I think, a better move, which was queen c7. And this, okay, now he's threatening knight f4. And I can't allow this, because if I allow knight f4, then king h2 or king g3, knight d3. And if he exchanges the bishop for the knight, then I don't really have that much counterplay, because he's going to threaten perpetual check. And if knight f4, king h1, then he has okay, it's still not clear, but he has queen c2, which I think is a very good move, because now he's threatening knight d3 and queen d1, queen b1, and it's still not that good to enter this endgame because he's going to threaten perpetual check with queen f1. And if I get into this queen ending, then I don't have any chances to win. So instead, after queen here, I either have bishop g3, which after queen c2, I didn't see a good continuation. But actually, queen c2 is not good. I think queen c3 is better. And bishop f2, queen c7 repeats. So that's why instead that's why I played queen e5. But here, he might even manage, he can even get this endgame. Queen e5, d5, knight f4, king f1, knight d3, and maybe the worst case scenario would be something like this. Which, okay, I think he thought that wasn't pretty good for him because I might have something like this, and at the same time might have h5, h6. And okay, actually maybe it's not that simple, and he wanted to complicate more, so that's why I didn't play that. And I felt like, okay, there's nothing more to play after queen c2, but then I saw this interesting, because I can't play queen d5 because of knight f4, and also of queen b8, king g7. Then there's also not that much happening after queen takes before knight f4. So I saw after queen c2, instead of queen c2, he played knight f4 first. Now if king g3, knight e2. And now I think I'm forced to play like something like king g2, knight f4. Now I've got to play king h2 because otherwise it's just a repetition. And if king g1, queen c1, and now he gets too much counterplay. So instead, king h2 was played, and after queen c2, I thought, okay, this is probably going to be a draw. I don't see how I'm gonna win because I can't take, because it's an easy perpetual. Check, check. Okay, maybe this is also a draw, but it's also good to look out for these moves of queen h2 blocking. But in this case, queen f3, and he might even play for a win here. But okay. Instead, after queen c2, then I saw this opportunity to play king g. So here, I saw this interesting move, king g3, and I just realized that now I can create enough counterplay. So even though he might take my b3 pawn, I might create a checkmate threats to the king. For example, knight e2, king g2, or king h3. Maybe king h3 is better to free up the bishop if he plays knight c3. Now I can't move the bishop, but with king h3, knight c3, maybe bishop e3. And for example, he can't take my pawn because then I have queen e8, king g7, and now bishop h6. And if he takes, then I have queen h8 mate. And if he doesn't take, then I have queen f7, king takes, g5, king h5, and queen h7 mate. So instead, he's got to play to defend this. He's got to do something. And instead, maybe it didn't see this threat yet, but after knight d3, okay, now still I cannot, I had like this. And now, after queen a, king g7, bishop e3, now I'm threatening checkmate. So he's got to do something. Because if he takes my pawn, again, bishop h6, king h6, queen h8 mate. And if king h7, queen takes, g5, king h5, and queen h7. So that's why it's not that comfortable. So after bishop e3, so queen e8, king g7, bishop e3. He played queen c7, which I think is pretty much the only move. Otherwise, I'm not sure how he can defend checkmate, because somehow he has no checks at the king. So, and also some move like f6. would be interesting. But after h6, then probably h5 would be a good move. Also, there's bishop h6 can be played anyways. But after king h7, maybe still it's not that clear. But in any case, after f6 you can play, I think I can play queen d7. And I'm going to take the d5 pawn. So for example, king h8, queen d5. And you can't take my b3 pawn, so I'm just 2 pawns up. So queen c7 is more or less the only move. And now king h3, and now I think he's losing here, because now he cannot play knight f4, because bishop f4, queen e5, queen e5, d5. Now I'm just in time to get to the pawn, and he cannot promote. So I'm just a pawn up, and it's just a completely winning endgame. So that's why after king h3, he's got to do something. But what? Because I'm threatening bishop h6. And if king h7, bishop queen f8. And okay, maybe f6, but still, queen f6, king h6, queen h8, queen h7, g5, king h5, queen 7. Wait. So still, it's not, the threats are not over yet. So okay, maybe a prophylactic move like king h7 doesn't work, because still bishop h6, or maybe even queen f8. And it's still not clear. But again, he has to do something, and that something isn't really clear. Maybe f6, but f6 isn't good because of bishop h6, king h7, because of king h6, queen h8, queen h7, g5, fg5, hg5, king g5, and now I take the queen. So he can't really do anything to prevent that. So he can't really take the bishop on h6 and no any line. So he has to play king h7 all the time. And after bishop h6, king g7, then maybe, then you can play, then I can play something like, again, mostly I think a bit, maybe not, because now I'm not threatening anything. And h5 is bad because of king h6, queen h8, queen h7. And there's no more g5 because of fg5. So actually it's not that clear after king h7 what to do. But more or less I can even play something like, maybe after king here, after f6, I can just play h5. And if g5, then queen g6, and I win the pawn with check, and then the g5 pawn falls and everything falls. So just simply, I don't need to get mate, I just can get a positional advantage. And let's say gh5, then either I can play gh5, which is probably, I think, best. And now if knight f4, I can even play king g4. There's no checks, he has to move the knight, and now just queen g6. And I'm going to win the f6 pawn, and it's just actually also the knight, so it's just game over. Okay, so instead he played knight e1, which just simply loses the game on the spot, because after bishop h6, king h7, now I can even bail out with queen takes e1, because if I now play queen f8, which is probably what he expected, f6, I don't really have a mate threat. And if queen f6, then he might have some counterplay, but maybe not. But also knight c3, knight f3 is very interesting, because of queen f3, now king h6, it's not so clear, because now I don't have a defender, the f3 pawn, which was very useful and defend my kings from queen checks. And now this endgame probably still winning, but there still needs to be care in order to win it. I mean, instead you can just simply play I thought, okay, maybe just simply play something like queen takes e1. Now king h6, queen takes b4. And again, now he cannot play queen c1 because queen f8, king h7, queen takes h7, queen takes f7. And I thought, okay, this is just definitely very good. So he has to play either queen f4 or king g7. And yes, he played queen f4, and now either queen c3 or king g2. And in the game, I was thinking, okay, maybe let's play king g2, and then just play maybe just queen e1 or something, or maybe. But then I realized after king g2, king g7, that I still have to play queen c3. So probably maybe more better was play queen c3. But actually now looking at the position, I see that queen c3, there's f5, g5, king h5. Actually gets enough counterplay. So maybe actually it was better to play king g2. Now after king g7, now queen c3 again is only move because it's almost zugzwang. I don't really have any moves. Otherwise I lose either the d2 pawn or he gets checks, and this is not comfortable because now he has queen f2 and it's also a draw. So instead, I guess he has to play, his only counterplay is to play f5. But now I think this is the only move that wins, g5. And now he cannot take the pawn because I have queen c7, and if king f8, then queen f6, queen d8, king g7, queen f6, king h7, queen f7, or just simply I can play b4 now because he just simply has no moves almost with the queen, or just maybe even more precise, yeah, just b4. Now if queen e1, let's say, then queen f7, king h8, queen f8, king h7, queen h6, king g8, queen takes g6. And now I think I'm also gonna exchange the queens somehow after king h8. But anyways, this endgame is just completely winning because I for example, king h8, queen f6, king g8, and now queen e5 also I think is going to win because of queen d2, king h3, queen takes g5, now queen g3. And since I have this outside pass pawn, it's completely winning because I'm exchanging the queens. So instead, after g5, he realized that this was already game over, so played queen b8, which, okay, it was just a clear sign that he was going to, it's time for resignation after queen b8. There's just simply no way to create counterplay. And okay, b4. Also, there was this interesting move, queen c5, because after queen b3, queen e7, king g8, now I have queen e6. But okay, I thought, why complicate? Because okay, this also wins, but I didn't want to give up my pass pawn. So instead, after queen b8, I played b4, just simply pushing my pass pawn. And now he played something like anyways, here I feel like this is not anyways that important because queen e8, anyways, it's completely winning. So queen c7, now king g8, now I have queen e5, and just simply winning because he doesn't have any checks. And if queen c6, now it's still not that clear because he's defending queen c2. But in any case, I can play just king g3. Now at some point I remember when I moved with 1 second on the clock and I was about to lose on time. And I felt like, oh my goodness, if I was going to lose on time, this would be a horrible way to end. But okay, now queen c1 again is just losing because queen e6, king g8, queen f6, and the same mechanism to win the pawn with check. And now he doesn't have any counterplay because I can run with my king with king f4, king e5. So okay, instead instead, after queen c6, king g3, he played king queen d7, and then queen b8, which now just simply after king f7 b5, now he just simply has no counterplay at all, and I'm just gonna push my pawn. So queen e6, queen e5, and now queen b6, just simply maybe tempting me to play queen d5, king g7, or anyways, this is also winning, but I just have simply queen f6, and he just resigned. Because if queen f6, gf6, king f6, b6, he cannot stop the pawn, and I just promote. So all in all, it was a pretty interesting game, but I feel like he didn't play that. We played pretty passively, and he didn't really create any counterplay, because if he created, he did create some counterplay after queen c2, but I managed to fend it off, and he missed this idea of bishop h6, creating checkmate, and I felt like it was pretty good.
So an excellent game in total, and the lines that you showed us, it's like I think 20-30 different variations you are thinking at the same time. Is that the reason that most of the games you are getting low on time?
Maybe, I think maybe, like, I use most of the time at one point in the opening to just choose my way of playing, and it depends. Usually, I mean, depends how the position is. If it's not that comfortable, then okay, it's pretty annoying, but if it's like pretty comfortable, then it's not that much of a need to use that much time in the open. But that's why I mostly use my time in the opening, like in just the first move. I mean, after preparation, I don't know why, but after I use like 20 minutes on one move after.
Okay. You mentioned that your favorite player is Magnus Carlsen. Yeah. Is there a particular reason?
More like because he has a universal style, so it fits also aggressive players, positional players. So yeah, and also just his dominance in chess. That's why.
Do you think he will win the World Cup?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay. And last question. Last day you were walking around the hall and you suddenly saw one of the top chess players in the world. What was your reaction?
Well, at first I didn't even realize. I was just looking at the game, and then I see behind me Hikaru, and I was like, okay, nothing special. And then I realized, is that Hikaru?
Is that the first time you saw him like in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
First time.
Yeah. Did you think that okay, if my game was not going on, I would have gone and met him and asked him something?
Yeah. I think I'm not sure, but maybe first his autograph, and then maybe something else. I'm not sure.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for giving us your time and showing us this wonderful game, and your analysis, your deep dive into a game is well appreciated. I'm sure there's a long way to go for you because your aim is much higher. So all the very best for the rest of the rounds.
Thank you.